say the young generation is not tribal. Another one was saying that this generation is very tribal. The young guys are tribal. Are we tribal?
No, I don't think our generation is tribal.
Oh, let's say from Kiptoo.
I think we need to appreciate the fact that we are more still clouded by the ethnicity. Yeah. As a young generation, you only need to go into the social media, then you would understand we are caught in this time warp. And I still also need just to clarify that under Article 10 Sub-Article 2, it talks about the national values. But as to how much have we indoctrinated and internalized the national values, when you talk about values of a society, of a nation like Kenya, that should go back the years. And I think the colonial period succeeded in making us discarding our culture, and in that case we lost our original values. Then coming to post-independence, the independence leaders never gained new values. Rather, they picked the colonial values. That's why you talk about neo-colonialism. Now you have a young group of, a young generation, for example, myself, I never saw Jomo Kenyatta. He died 12 years or 10 years before I was born. The only president I saw growing up was perhaps Moi and then Kibaki. So you have this young group that has seen little, has little understanding of history, that we've not internalized the values. I think that is the disconnect. That's why I keep saying we need the trigger that can just link the young people and make us see our common, like we share common problems. And I think that period is coming up. It's only that every country has a moment in history. The last time we had that moment in Kenya, I think it was 2002, when we had an outpouring of change. Then I'm really feeling that it's up in air. Just like there's just something needed. Because you have unemployment skyrocketing, people will go to school. You saw the statistics: 88,000 will be admitted to the university. But what happens after? In fact, there's a song, "Itakuwaje after Campo" by
Itakuwaje after Campo.
And right now it's even worse. Unemployment is skyrocketing.
All
so
right,
give us a year or two.
All right, there's an issue also we're discussing here yesterday regarding also released the results, and we had the E-graders. Like we have almost over 34,000. People who scored E. Are we waiting for maybe another shoe to drop with this particular generation or that particular segment of the E? How do you treat them, right? Because these are people, maybe they'll feel like, the society is looking down upon us because we scored E. But someone was saying, you know, if I scored E in Matiangi's examination, that is a good C plus. Okay, let's hear from Esther.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite quotes is by C.S. Lewis, and he says that education without values, as good as it may be, it seems to create very clever devils. I think that's the biggest gap within our country. We have an education that doesn't educate, is not anchored on values, and therefore creates very clever devils. And I think that's what probably this whole process of Matiang'i is trying to undo. Extremely clever devils. But I think the other thing about values is the issue of values is about identity, because values determine who you are. And so if as a country we don't have a base of our values, in effect what we're saying is we don't know who we are. And that's why there's a lot of haphazard things that go on, because at the end of the day our identity is very lost. We are people who are still either defined by the neo-colonialism he's talking about, or by the media, or by a lot of other things. But at the end of the day, there is no definition of who we are. Our identity is still missing, because the conversation of values is still up in the air.
Still up in the air. All right, Koby, from your end, especially when you're talking about this issue that the vote has been already decided. And this is the conversation that we normally have on social media, which is your space. Do you think that, yes, we've harnessed the power of social media to use it positively when it comes also to the issue of fostering, the young people to vote via social media? Because I know right now we'll be a divided nation. Yes, we have these millennials showing us that, yes, they're going to vote, but it just remains on social media. That's where they cast their votes. When they go to the ballot and the polling stations, no one, shows up. It's a no-show.
Yeah. So, for sure, I mean, like he said, we can see to a point we're still very ethnic. And the worst thing about young people and ethnicity is that sometimes it's very subconscious. It's not intentional, because I will say, you see, like our parents, I would think, you know their stand, and they actually say it. For us, I'll come and say, I'm not tribal, but my actions speak otherwise. What I post on social media speaks otherwise. And I think this goes also to the point of hopelessness I was talking about. Like, people actually don't see the value in stepping out to go and vote, or even register to vote, because I feel it's already been decided, or a certain people are going to run this country for the rest of our lives. You know, these are the perceptions we need to change. And one way, again, is through social media. What content are we posting on all these platforms? What information are we sharing? Again, goes to civic, education. You know, what information are people sharing in regards to what parts they can play as young people in elections, and, you know, what difference will your vote make?
All right.
So particularly, I think we have a long way to go in terms of social media. I feel like this year is going to be different. The other time we were you could actually tell we were actually very divisive, along tribal lines, along political party lines, and all these things. I feel like this year people are actually stepping up to do something different. You see so many hashtags about, you know, getting people out there to register to vote so we can change all this, you know. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how it's going to pan out, but surely I hope for the best.
All right, we're talking about the activism hashtag.
Yeah.
Is it the positive ones or the negative ones that you alluded to?
So the negative ones will have to be there. You know, something about politics is propaganda is always going to be there. But I've seen a lot of positive ones recently, you know, like, you know, kura yako, kesho yako, you know, just showing you how, you know, people actually want to change the conversation to something different. The bad hashtags are going to be there. And, you know, the worst thing about social media is you don't know what intention these people, you know, are doing it for. So some people are actually doing it for monetary gain, some people, you know. Right. So there's so much to learn in regard to social media and elections, but this year I feel we'll have something different.
Thank you. Let's also get our closing remarks, and I think you guys, now we are. This is when the discussion begins, and we are ending. I beg of you, right? That next week on Friday you should be here. We continue this conversation. You won't give the speeches, but we'll continue. Let's hear from Kevin Osido as we're giving our closing remarks. 30 seconds each, then we'll be done. Right.
Actually, it's Kevin Osido.
Osido, sorry.
For me, in terms of societal reflection, I look at the standards. And we run a program as County Governance Watch called Marching Through Mentorship, where we go to high schools and we invite the people who come from their counties who are making it in society and in leadership. And we invite them just to talk to young people and help them walk their lives in terms of how did they make it. And why we are doing this is because we did an assessment of why. Of course, there's the place of the ease and the arena of vocational training in our education system. And it's sad, Debarl, because in our view, we look at how do you therefore create space for those that society considers as not making it. Now, if you look at many of those who are aspiring to be candidates or even to be politicians, they're actually the ones who are considered not to be making it. And this is interesting because we have also looked at the aspirants, like Raphael said. Many of them are young people. In one ward in Kibera, for example, we have over 80 aspirants on one party. And you ask yourself, why are you doing it? What values do you want to present? What sort of leadership are you going out for? And who do you consider to have made it that would then be your, more or less like a footstool as you walk your leadership path? And so for me, looking at education vis-a-vis leadership and youth involvement and voter apathy and all this, I look at, can Kenya be able to set certain basic minimums?
Thank you.
Yeah.